especially, Skinner and all. I never got any support for them from that community. In fact, they even said that some of us were nutty. They said that we didn't know what we're talking about with Skinner. We were wrong about these computerized, individualized education software and all. They went up against us. And I always wonder what is going on. Well, now we know because they have, they have been trained by Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker went all over the country.
I'll tell you what, stay there. Let's expose.
Systems.
Sure, let's expose that and talk about Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They now are funding and running a lot of these, quote, charter schools. Part of it, of course, is tax money still. And they're openly teaching eugenics, kill granny for money. I mean, everything. Whistleblower, author, researcher, patriot. And again, she's not against you having school choice, but this is now just the corporations taking over the old local, quote, independent school district system, draining off their funding, putting only in a little bit of their money, and getting control. Now, you were breaking down how you discovered why you were blocked by, quote, conservatives, but then also take the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are involved in education at every level. They're involved, just like Obama was, breaking up local schools and turning them over to corporations. That's what they're now doing. And I could play clips of Bill Gates up there saying, you don't give grandma health care, we can hire 10 teachers, and the teachers clapping. So they're even selling this idea of cannibalism, that you take something away from somebody, you get their resources. That's not how the world really works. It's a win-win-win. Build the pie system is what we want, not a post-industrial shut-it-down system. So it's incredibly dangerous and classically authoritarian, but you notice with the TSA checkpoints and the groping of our families, I mean, they admit the TSA stuff is to break you, is to train you, is to Pavlovianly get you used to them putting their hands on your body. I mean, this is all dog training, as you said.
Well, yes, Alex, and talking about the Gates Foundation, Bill Gates is totally involved in putting us under this international socialist system, or whatever you want to call it, fascist, communist, totalitarian system. He's very involved. I mean, Microsoft has got agreements with communist China and Russia and everywhere, and Gates has signed all sorts of agreements himself, and so really bad. Now, talking about the foundations, let's get there. The tax-exempt foundations. You can go to my son's website, AmericanDeception.com, and you've got the transcript of the congressional investigation of the tax-exempt foundations there. There was only one copy left in the country 3 years ago because the foundations bought up all the copies. They didn't want the American people to know what had happened in 1953 when all these traitors had to answer questions during the investigation. They bought up all the copies. They got them all out of circulation except this one. The person I bought it from, I understand that he was offered any amount of money for that one copy, and he turned it down. I got the copy. My son put it up on the website, 3,000 pages of documentation. That was the investigation where Norman Dodd of the Reese Committee went up to New York, and off the record, that's why it's not on the internet, it's not in the transcript, but off the record, the president of the Ford Foundation, Rowan Gaither, said to him, Mr. Dodd, we get our instructions from the White House how to use our money. Eisenhower at the peak of the Cold War, that was. And the instructions were to change America. The foundation should change America to such an extent it could be comfortably merged with the Soviet Union. Now, look, of course, you say it's dead. No, it's not. Communism, fascism, socialism, internationalism are all exactly what Gaither was talking
Exactly.
about.
A fool sent me emails saying you're calling it fascist or socialist. They're two different things. No, there's different dressing, little different tweaks, right. But it's all black uniforms, all government run, all surveillance, all state planned, with the corporations over it. It's all the same thing.
That's exactly what we're looking at. So what Dodd was told is absolutely correct. Gaither told him it would be this merger. And if you go back to Lenin said, look, first of all countries individually become socialist. Then
that's what Carroll Quigley wrote. He said there's not a difference between fascism and communism. We work with all of it. We are creating a fusion of it.
But they merge, once they're socialist, then they merge in regions. So we've got all the regions being set up. Gorbachev called the European Union, the new European Soviet. And now the regionalism is communism. And that quote is in my book. Very interesting quote. Look it up. Morris Zeitlin. He's a communist, wrote the Communist Daily World in the 70s. He said the United States has got to go have more regional government because it worked so well in the Soviet Union. It's going in now, folks, all over the place with sustainable development, dropping borders, getting rid of elected officials. Don't forget, charter schools don't have elected officials. So you're paying taxes to run these charter schools, which use a federal test.
And all it really is a globalist school.
Yes, and those schools, 60% of the federal test is attitudinal, how they feel about the environment, what they think about the UN or whatever, do they believe in God? 60% of that test that the charter school students must take, because it's a federally funded entity, is political. Now, remember this.
Yeah, so they remove true education about issues and about ideas and about science. It just all turns into pablum, so the kids are good little robots, and they burn that time up not really teaching them. We'll be right back with solutions. Stay there, Charlotte. Final segment straight ahead with our guest, then News Blitz coming up. All right, it's our final segment with Charlotte Iserby. And again, we're selling the book. She has the old big thick version up for free on her website and just didn't want to deal with the hard copy anymore. And people convinced her, hey, this is important to have a hard copy of. They can shut stuff off the web really easy. So she's put out a new updated, abridged, revised, shorter one. It's only 450-something pages long. It's excellent. And every teacher, every educator, needs a copy of this, because then everything will make sense to them. And it has all the documents. I mean, she was the head of policy. That's the #2 position at the Department of Education. She's published the documents where they admit they want a global Soviet system run by the mega elite. They want to shut down all their competition. And you notice everything we warn you about keeps happening because we've got all their documents. That's what's so frustrating about this. Charlotte, you were getting into a key point there as we went to break. Please continue.
Well, I don't know where I was on that one, Alex, but all I can say is, because we don't have much time left, I want, first of all, the reason for the book is that I felt it had to come out at this time. I think that book is really very, very important. There are many books out there, but this gives you not just education history, but the history of the insiders for the beginning of the last century, or even going back into the 1800s. It's the Federal Reserve. It's everything else, too, that's in there. What happened? Disarmament, blah, 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 go on. Ronald Reagan signing the agreements with the Soviet Union, and the Carnegie Corporation role in agreements with the Soviet Academy of Science. All of these things, and again, I will say the conservatives got to understand this. I hate to say it, but you have not been informed of these things because the conservatives, let's call them neoconservatives, not Goldwater people, they have been infiltrated, the Republican Party badly infiltrated by the left. So you've got both parties are left and are, you can call them either socialist or Marxist or fascist. Doesn't make any difference. Both parties are controlled, and that's why we haven't been able to get this information out. What I want you to do is don't get discouraged. You've got to keep fighting. And the reason I say this is there have been many, many people, and I gave a lot of credit to these people in the beginning of my book. I've known them. Some are dead, etc. They, the insiders, expected to bring us down, certainly in the 80s. The 1976 200th anniversary, we were meant to be basically going down. We didn't. We're still here. If those people had given up, the ones that you and I know, and a lot of us oldsters know, they're gone now, magnificent Americans who fought for freedom, for the Constitutional. If they had given up, I wouldn't even be on this program today. And Alex wouldn't have a show. So you cannot give up. You have to keep fighting this battle. And the tool to fight it, I think, because, of course, I love my own book, is my little book. And it's smaller. You can't complain anymore about it being, you can't take it on vacation. It weighs too much. Now, the other thing I want to say is there's only one person out there that we can vote for the Republican Party. There's only one person. Absolutely, there's no question about it, and it's Ron Paul. It is ridiculous what's going on now. It's evil what's going on right now. They're doing to him what they did to Goldwater back in the 60s when they had that film of the little girl in the field with the poppies and the bomb going off. They're that to him, too.
Yeah, they're saying we'll get nuked if you elect Ron Paul. Same thing LBJ did.
Right. So, look, folks, we've got good stuff out there now. We've got Ron Paul. I'm going to keep fighting. Alex is great. He's going to keep fighting.
Well, Charlotte, as you know, I mean, 20, 30, 40 years ago, almost nobody knew about this stuff because it was so incredible. You mean their tyrants want to slowly take over? Now it's all coming to fruition. Yeah. The crop is coming in. We told folks what those plants were going to grow. Before I was born, you were warning people.
That's right.
And then now we see, oh, this is tyranny they're setting up. I've never seen such an awakening happening. Now, some are awakening. That's happening faster. But others are getting deeper into the trance, and you cannot reach them because they've been so damaged by the brainwashing, by the chemicals. But it's never a majority that turns things around. It's an evil minority or a good minority that are going to decide the destiny of the human species, and our minority is swelling. We are much bigger than the criminals.
The young people are so important. Let me say to you, don't waste time on people my age, really, because they are so pathetic with their golf clubs, their retirement. I mean, they are pathetic. I'm sorry to say it. Maybe there are a few out there who aren't, but don't waste your time on them. Put your time into the young people getting out of high school and college. Get in there, just like Ron Paul said. There's this huge awakening among young people. And you know what? The schools may have done a good job, like I pointed out earlier, with 80% or whatever of those college students. But I don't believe it's all that bad. I think that the young people really are beginning to understand that they have been had. And so focus.
Well, you know they create a fake consensus with all these fake polls. I mean, they've now, it's even, quote, mainstream news that there was fraud all over Iowa, just as we said 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that it's so brazen, Charlotte.
Yes, it is, and I think that's why I think the young people know this. And the other thing is, Ron Paul really is the anti-war candidate. And if he was smart, that's what he would run on, even though he's anti-Federal Reserve and he'd love to get rid of the Department of Education. He's the only one who's really mentioned that, isn't he? His platform is superb, and they say it's kooky. Oh, wait a minute. Look, I always love it when people call me a kook. You know why? And I tell them, thank you. Because the greatest Americans and people in the Soviet Union, etc., Solzhenitsyn, all these people who cherished freedom were called kooks at the time. And so if someone calls you a kook, thank them. And say, you know, you put me in really good company. I'm in with Solzhenitsyn. I'm in with all these great people who fought for freedom.
Well, as you know, Charlotte, a doodle dandy was the biggest insult the British could give each other. And I don't want to tell people what it means, but it's a slang.
Yeah.
But you know what? We said, good, we're going to have a song called Yankee Doodle Dandy.
That's very interesting. Good for you, Alex. I didn't know that. But, you know, the thing is that that is Brock Chisholm. That's all those guys, Alger Hiss in 1945 at the UN, who said they're going to use psychiatry, you know, to get rid of our conscience. These are the people who said we're crazy. See? We're crazy because we think. And because we know that we know war is wrong, but we know that sometimes you have to take a stand. But they don't want us.
No. They teach us to not be warlike so they can wage war on us. They say, truce.
That's exactly what we are. Our military is nothing but the United Nations military arm.